In the afternoon of August 16, 1977, the music world mourned the loss of one of its legends. Elvis Presley had passed away. The king was discovered at his cherished Graceland residence and was officially declared dead at 3:30 p.m. He was a mere 42 years old. His untimely death came as a profound shock, especially considering that the king of rock and roll was actively shaping plans for his personal and professional future. But the last words he offered to his stepbrother 2 days before his passing left everyone heartbroken. Elvis Presley's last words continue to haunt those who have heard them. So what were Elvis Presley's last words before his death? And what was his last wish? Stay with us to find out. In a poignant interview with Fox News Digital, David E. Stanley, stepbrother to Elvis Presley, shared a deeply personal moment that took place on Aug. 14, 1977, just before the legendary singer's untimely passing. Presley, in a buoyant mood, was showcasing his new karate blades to Stanley. The atmosphere shifted when, in the midst of their playful sparring, Stanley unexpectedly landed a punch on Presley. The result was a minor injury. Stanley cut his finger, leading to the formation of a blood blister. Reflecting on this incident with a chuckle, Stanley shared the anecdote with Fox News Digital, stating, "He realized that he hit me, so he instantly dropped the knives, grabbed my finger, and walked me to the bathroom." The scene unfolded in front of a large mirror in the bathroom, adding a surreal quality to the moment. Presley, with a touch of theatricality, made a spectacle of the situation, as if preparing for a surgical procedure. Stanley, in awe, stood there, smiling at the unexpected turn of events. Yet, amid the light-hearted banter and camaraderie, the atmosphere took a poignant turn. Presley, in a quieter and more reflective tone, gently posed a profound question to Stanley. "Do you believe God forgives people for their sins?" This question, a topic of discussion between the two brothers over nearly 17 years, now hung in the air. Presley, despite the passage of time, sought to hear Stanley articulate his belief in forgiveness. Elvis, in a moment of vulnerability, expressed, "Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this for almost 17 years, Elvis." Stanley recalled the gravity of the moment, capturing the essence of a profound and intimate conversation that delved into matters of faith and redemption. Diving into a more introspective realm, the conversation pivoted toward the future, eventually settling on the elusive topic of love. Presley, confiding in his younger brother, hinted that true love awaited him in the future, disclosing that he had experienced it twice, without revealing the identities. With an air of mystery, Presley teased, "You couldn't even guess, Billy." As the discussion unfolded, Presley expressed his intention to delve into the pages of his Bible. Stanley, promising to visit on August 16th, received a heartfelt parting message from the iconic musician. "Okay, I love you." Reflecting on this poignant exchange, Stanley grappled with the idea of returning to Presley during his journey home to convey his deep affection. However, he ultimately decided against it, reassuring himself that they would reunite in just a few days. It turned out to be Stanley's final encounter with Presley, a moment that he would later reflect on with a sense of regret. In a conversation with Fox News Digital, emotions were palpable as Stanley confessed, "I wish I had gone back." Presley's life has been extensively documented in numerous books, exploring the captivating story of one of the most iconic figures in American music history. Stanley himself contributed to this narrative with his 1989 book, Elvis, My Brother. In the realm of film, the biography Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, made waves at the box office in early 2022, further cementing Presley's enduring cultural impact. However, Stanley's current focus revolves around a different aspect of Presley's life, his spiritual connection with God. This shift in perspective stems from Stanley's own near-death experience in 2018, a profound event that compelled him to explore and share Presley's spiritual journey more deeply. After the passing of his first wife, Gladys, in 1958, Vernon Presley decided to remarry in 1960, ushering in a new chapter in the Presley family. As a result of this union, Elvis Presley gained 3 younger brothers, and one of them was Billy Stanley, who was just 7 years old at the time. Reflecting on those early days, Stanley fondly remembered Vernon's warm welcome. "I remember him picking up all 3 of us at the same time and saying, 'I've always wanted a younger brother, now I have 3, Stanley recalled. Despite the initial unfamiliarity, Vernon took the time to connect with the young brothers, engaging in conversations that stretched throughout the night. He made sure to tuck them in, creating a sense of security and care. The next morning brought an unexpected surprise as Vernon, with infectious enthusiasm, burst into the room like a fire drill, exclaiming, "You gotta get up!" The backyard held a magical surprise. 3 of every kind of toy imaginable. It was as if a store had magically opened overnight, fulfilling the whimsical dreams of the young brothers. Beyond the material gifts they received, that particular day marked the beginning of an enduring lesson for the young brothers. Presley, according to Stanley, imparted the importance of saying their prayers daily. Each evening, the brothers gathered to express gratitude for their blessings, and Presley, a devout reader of the Bible, dedicated considerable time to reading, taking notes, and highlighting passages that resonated with him. The impact of these teachings extended well into Stanley's later years, when he had the opportunity to work for Presley on the road for over 2 years. Among his responsibilities during this time was the task of ensuring that Presley's Bible was securely transported to every location they visited. Despite the fame and scrutiny, many are unaware that after each performance, Elvis would engage in singing gospel songs until dawn, as shared by Stanley. According to him, Elvis maintained a spiritual connection, often in contact with the Lord. Despite public perceptions and criticisms, Stanley emphasized the humanity of Elvis, acknowledging that everyone falls short and the challenges of living under the constant scrutiny of being a big star. Living under a microscope due to his celebrity status made Elvis's spiritual journey more challenging. Stanley painted a vivid picture of the internal struggle within Elvis, describing it as a constant war between carrying the devil on one shoulder and God on the other. This metaphorical battle played out in his thoughts, revealing the complexity of Elvis's inner world. As the mid-1970s approached, Elvis's physical health began to deteriorate, and he became dangerously dependent on prescription medications. In 1973, his marriage to Priscilla Presley came to an end. However, Stanley contended that during these challenging times, Elvis found solace and guidance in the teachings of God, highlighting the role of faith in providing comfort and support during difficult periods in the legendary musician's life. In their final conversation, Elvis Presley unfolded his ambitious plans for the future, signaling a significant shift in his life. The King of Rock and Roll disclosed his intentions to terminate the services of his long-standing manager, Colonel Tom Parker, and his team. This decision was prompted by the revelation that Parker had been embezzling millions from the iconic singer over the span of several decades. In addition to parting ways with Parker, Presley urged Stanley to leave his role as an assistant jet mechanic at the airport and return to working for him. Despite the magnitude of these impending changes, Presley concluded their discussion by expressing his deep love for his stepbrother and making a promise to read his Bible. Little did Stanley know that this heartfelt conversation would be the last time he saw Presley alive. A few days later, Elvis Presley passed away at the age of 42, marking the end of an era in the world of music and entertainment. Even after attaining immense fame 2 decades earlier, Elvis Presley faced a tumultuous final chapter in his life. Despite the challenges, the Memphis, Tennessee, megastar, continued to attract massive crowds eager for a glimpse of the iconic figure. Having risen to stardom as a teenager, Elvis interrupted his phenomenal career to serve in the Army, where he encountered his future wife, Priscilla. Beyond music, Elvis showcased his talent in blockbuster films, drawing devoted fans to cinemas to witness their idol on the silver screen. However, the years leading up to his untimely death marked a decline in the health of the jailhouse rock hitmaker. In 1973, amidst the unraveling of his marriage to Priscilla, Elvis experienced a 3-day coma in a hotel room after a barbiturate overdose, the second such incident in less than a year. In the mid-1970s, Elvis Presley's health began to deteriorate, and he developed a dependency on prescription medications. Later that year, he was rushed to the hospital due to his addiction to painkillers. Elvis's escalating reliance on drugs was attributed to his grueling touring schedule, and several of his performances were marred by health issues. Elvis Presley, despite facing escalating personal challenges, remained committed to his fans, steadfastly adhering to the principle that the show must go on. Even as his health deteriorated, he refused to let down his devoted audience. Tony Brown, a keyboardist who collaborated with the King, vividly recalls an incident 3 years before Elvis's death at the University of Maryland. On this occasion, Elvis stumbled out of a limousine, signaling the visible toll on his well-being. Guitarist John Wilkinson recounted the distressing scene, noting, "It was obvious there was something terribly wrong with his body. It was so bad that the words to the songs were barely intelligible. I remember crying. He could barely get through the introductions." Despite the band's concerned pleas to cancel the tour and take a hiatus for recovery, Elvis was resolute in his determination to press on. In a bid to accommodate Elvis Presley's deteriorating health and ease the strain of his demanding career, his record label took the unprecedented step of setting up a recording studio at his home 2 years before his demise. Despite his declining health, Elvis remained remarkably prolific, recording 6 albums in this home studio. However, these releases failed to replicate the chart-topping success of his earlier works. Amidst these professional challenges, Elvis grappled with personal turmoil. Following his divorce, he entered a new relationship with Ginger Alden, whom he proposed to just 2 months after their initial meeting. Simultaneously, Elvis battled serious weight problems, with his once svelte frame expanding to over 25 stones. As the summer of his final year approached, Elvis found himself bedbound at his Graceland home, necessitating round-the-clock nursing care. The post-mortem examination following Elvis Presley's untimely death unearthed distressing revelations about the legendary musician's health. The autopsy exposed a grossly swollen heart, twice its normal size, indicative of advanced cardiovascular disease. Astonishingly, despite a lifetime of non-smoking, Elvis's lungs were riddled with emphysema, severely compromising his respiratory function. Adding to the tragic picture, the Heartbreak Hotel star grappled with excruciating digestive problems. In the months leading up to his demise, Elvis had been prescribed a staggering 9,000 pills, with the day of his passing marked by the ingestion of massive quantities in a desperate attempt to alleviate his pain. On the day before his untimely passing, Elvis requested his stepbrother, Ricky Stanley, to pick up 6 dilaudid tablets from the pharmacy at Baptist Memorial Hospital. These tablets were prescribed by his personal doctor, Dr. Nikopoulos. The intention was to use the medication to get some rest before his scheduled performance in Maine. According to reports, Presley consumed all the prescribed medications and even took additional pills and pain relievers from the second and third packages. A few hours later, he went to the bathroom due to severe constipation and tragically did not emerge alive. It was his fiancée, Ginger Alden, who discovered him lifeless in the bathroom. During their final conversation, as detailed in Elvis and Ginger, Elvis Presley informed Ginger Alden that he was heading to the bathroom to read, expressing restlessness that night. "I'm going to the bathroom to read." "Okay, but don't fall asleep," she responded, before closing her eyes again, leaving the reading light on for him. Presley, as Alden recounted in her book, assured her, saying, "Okay, I won't," before disappearing into the bathroom. Those were the last words uttered by Elvis Presley to his fiancée, Ginger Alden, in the early morning of August 16, 1977, at his iconic Memphis mansion, Graceland. The king of rock and roll, struggling with insomnia, chose not to disturb his beauty queen lover. Hours later, at 2 p.m., Ginger Alden woke up and noticed that Presley hadn't returned to bed. Concerned, she knocked on the bathroom door, calling his name, and eventually opened it. "That's when I saw him there." In her upcoming memoir, Ginger and Elvis, set to be released in a Berkeley hardcover edition on September 2nd, Alden recounts the details of her brief romance with Presley, as reported by the Daily Mail. In it, she vividly describes finding the legendary singer slumped over on the bathroom floor. When she bent down to touch him, his skin was cold. Elvis looked as if his entire body had completely frozen in a seated position while using the toilet and then had fallen forward, in that fixed position, directly in front of it, Alden explained in her memoir. It was clear that, from the time whatever hit him to the moment he had landed on the floor, Elvis hadn't moved. "I slapped him a few times, and it was like he breathed once when I turned his head," she said. Alden attempted to open one of his eyes. "It was just blood red, but I couldn't move him. I didn't want to think he was dead. God wouldn't want to take him so soon." She immediately pressed the intercom that rang in the kitchen and called for help. Despite rapid first aid administered by Presley's old army mate, Joe Esposito, the 42-year-old music icon succumbed to an overdose of medications. According to a review by Kirkus, the book delves into the details of the king's demise, providing a chronological reflection on the couple's relationship and shedding light on Presley's multifaceted personality. The beauty queen first caught Presley's eye at a fairground when she was just 20 years old, significantly younger than him. He proposed to her on January 26, 1977, in his bathroom, the very place where he would tragically pass away later. The ordeal was profoundly traumatic for Alden, especially as she found herself isolated from Elvis's inner circle of friends and family while grappling with the loss of the man she loved, all at the tender age of 20. Despite the challenges, decades later, Alden managed to reclaim her narrative by documenting her relationship with Elvis. In subsequent years, she married Ronald Laser and became a mother to a son, details that are often overlooked when her name is mentioned in connection to Elvis. Cause of Elvis Presley's death. Elvis Presley's demise was attributed to cardiac arrhythmia, a condition later revealed to be a consequence of serious drug abuse. The autopsy report underscored the extensive use of prescription drugs, including antidepressants, which played a pivotal role in causing his heart failure. Presley's reliance on a myriad of medications, ranging from antidepressants to sedatives and barbiturates, painted a grim portrait of his health struggles. Following his death, the spotlight turned to Dr. George Nichopoulos, also known as Dr. Nick, who faced investigations for prescribing Elvis an astonishing 19,000 pills. In 1980, Dr. Nick's medical license was suspended for 3 months by the state of Tennessee. During the investigations, he explained that the sheer volume of medication was a response to Elvis's threats to seek them elsewhere if not prescribed. The legal ramifications intensified in 1981 when Dr. Nick faced 11 felony counts related to the excessive prescription of drugs. In 1995, the Tennessee Board of Medical Examiners handed down a permanent suspension of his medical license. The controversy surrounding Elvis Presley's death adds a layer of intrigue to the narrative. While the commonly accepted understanding is that he succumbed to cardiac arrest as a result of extensive drug use orchestrated by Dr. Nichopoulos, The circumstances of his demise were initially shrouded in secrecy. In the aftermath of Elvis's death, his family sought to safeguard the privacy of his life's details. A private autopsy, at the family's behest, aimed to ascertain the cause of death. However, the official death certificate issued by the chief medical examiner of Tennessee, Jerry Francisco, asserted that Elvis died of a coronary issue, with drugs not deemed contributory. This declaration prompted criticism from pathologists involved in the autopsy, who argued that the cause of death should have been attributed to cardiac arrest resulting from a toxic combination of medications. The discrepancy raised suspicions that the family might have been attempting to conceal the extent of Elvis's medication intake. The autopsy records, sealed after the procedure and shielded from public scrutiny, became a subject of contention. Several attempts were made to unseal the documents, with a partial breakthrough in 1993 when the investigation into Presley's death was reopened. While the physician's notes were released, the autopsy itself remained undisclosed. As a result, the precise circumstances surrounding Elvis's death remain a mystery. The lingering ambiguity has fueled ongoing speculation about whether he died from a heart attack or as a consequence of his extensive drug regimen. Regardless of the uncertainty, Elvis's indelible mark on the world of music ensures that he will forever be remembered as the enduring king of rock and roll. And that's all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our future content. Bye for now.